The Honorable Chief Justice and Associate Justices of the Supreme Court.
The House will come to order.
The Senate will come to order.
Mr. Chairman, Rebecca Birch has signed in from the Arizona Judicial Council wishing to speak against the bill.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. Actually, I'm the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and I hoped I was signed in that capacity. And in that capacity, I was surprised by the bill and surprised to be surprised by the bill. Here's a bill that proposes to change my court, and no one asked me about it.
Just to defend myself, I just wondered if Chief Justice Birch had a sister or something like that. I don't know. When I saw this. That's why, and it's signed in as Arizona Judicial Council. But yeah, it could have been a daughter as well. Definitely. I didn't think she was old enough to have a daughter.
She's very young.
Oh, you're trying to make up for it now.
When you're in a hole, stop digging.
Stop digging. Exactly.
Well, I can't stop digging all the way, so I have to vote yes. The reason why we want it.
I'm going to explain my vote. I just thought that I might give the opportunity for 2 additional attorneys to sit on the Supreme Court. I'm going to vote aye. With your vote of 3 ayes, 4 nays, and 1 not voting, you failed to give a due pass recommendation to Senate Bill 1481.
California's new Chief Justice now 6 months into the job. But she's also head of the nation's largest court system, which is facing massive budget cuts and demands from lower court judges for more autonomy in the administration of justice.
I'm not sure that we necessarily need legislation or statutory change to accomplish what they want done.
It was during the legislative debate over a bill that would reduce the Chief Justice's authority that a comment was made by author Assemblyman Charles Calderon of Whittier, who said the debate was not about the Chief Justice's intelligence or her attractiveness.
Is she attractive? Yes, she's attractive. Some women legislators were upset with that, saying that was a sexist comment. Were you offended by that?
I was troubled by that, but when it comes from a majority leader in the context of a very serious hearing where courts are lining up, where all the attorneys who were there are on the side of Judicial Council opposing that bill, and a critical question is asked, why are you taking this power away from the new Chief Justice 4 months into her administration? That's when that answer is unresponsive and is offensive and is not at all responsive to the question. So that's the problem.
A graduate of UC Davis from immigrant parents, Cantil-Sakauye is the 2nd woman to hold the post and the first Asian Filipina.
So once again, why the rush? The rush is clear. The rush is, the rush is, frankly, that people in this process were not happy with decisions the Supreme Court made a couple of months ago. And they are going to get vindictive with the courts. The truth of the matter is, we are coming up on redistricting after 2 constitutional amendments passed, when there will be decisions that are very significant coming out of the court that will set up the framework for what redistricting is for the foreseeable future in Florida. That is what this is about. Why else would we be unwilling to know what the court is going to look like before we vote on this? Why else would we want to leave the door open to make sure this takes place before redistricting? This is not about the courts. This is not about the workload of the courts. This is not about creating a system that is going to be more efficient. This is about creating a system or a Supreme Court that is more in line with certain people in Tallahassee and making sure that that is done in an underhanded way.
I think today we've heard, frankly, too much partisan blather.
We've heard about encroachment on an independent judiciary, that this is vindictive, that it's a bribe. Well, I'll represent this. Chairman Eisnagel's bill actually doesn't do anything to the judiciary. But it does give the people of Florida the chance to take back their courts.
Finally, all of us want tort reform. Well, maybe not all of us. I surely want it. A lot of folks I've talked to want it. So how do we get tort reform? I would suggest that if we took the Supreme Court from 7 down to 5, they have a higher workload. Guess who becomes our ally in tort reform? The Supreme Court.
I would like to bring forward to your remembrance, we have redistricting coming up and how the Supreme Court has treated the Republican Party and that redistricting effort. So what I would like to just bring to my Republican colleagues, to their forefront and their knowledge, is that we have redistricting and we need a tightened down Supreme Court in order to achieve that. So take control of the reins of the Supreme Court, show them who's in charge, and remember that redistricting, how we've been treated by the Supreme Court in the past. And I thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Sometimes we sort of skewer the courts because we don't like their interpretations. But I would suggest to you that every single one of you in here has opened up our code book and looked at a section of law and said, man, that's crappy law. And we make bad law. We sit here and we make bad law. But then we tell the courts, interpret that bad law. And we tell our citizens and our businesses to follow that bad law.
8 to 12.
8 yes, 12 no. The bill fails.
Was this amendment handed in to the clerk by the 3 p.m. deadline?
Yes, it was.
First of all, this amendment was handed out something after 6. Somebody can correct me if they think that's wrong. So when we started at 9 o'clock this morning and all the amendments were coming throughout the day, somebody held it to the last minute. So if this is not, even though it ain't dark outside yet, it's a dark of night amendment. You can be sure of that.
Now, public financing may or may not should live, but it ought to be given a far more decent burial than you're attempting to do today.
But why do you put this amendment here in the dark of night? Why do you do that to the people of North Carolina? I can only think of one reason. It's because you lack guts.
Representative Starnes, please state your purpose. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Well, I do have a bill that's already been filed that deals with this same subject, and so if the members would rather just have the bill heard in the committee, I will be glad to do that. And so, Mr. Speaker, I move that I withdraw my amendment.
My conclusion with respect to marital master Cross is that he is being made the subject of a witch hunt simply for having done his job and said no to people. Turning to the rest of the resolution, without any further allegations except those already made against marital master Cross, the resolution which you are being asked to approve also allows the Judiciary Committee to investigate whether grounds exist to impeach any justice of the New Hampshire Superior Court. Complete, unfettered authority to investigate based on nothing. In a time of scarce resources, I ask the members of this House to see this resolution for what it is and to decline to spend a penny of our scarce resources on this witch hunt.
The House will be attentive to the state of the vote. 242 members having voted in the affirmative, 105 in the negative. The committee report is adopted.